But let's speak next this morning to Finlay Asher. Finlay's got a really interesting perspective on this. He's an aerospace engineer and part of Safe Landing. That's a global community of aviation workers who act from within the businesses to try and reduce the climate impact of aviation. Finlay, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you share Julian's confidence in that 2050 target for net zero across aviation?
Well, not at all, because the thing that you need to realise about the net zero by 2050 plan is that it's irrelevant if we miss our short-term targets. We have about 10 years. This is the crucial decade. If we fail, we'll have completely failed by sort of mid-2030s. It doesn't matter about 2050.
So what's going wrong at the moment?
So, this announcement by Air New Zealand is basically us admitting the truth. The most important climate targets we're currently setting in aviation are basically physically unachievable. The problem is that, new aircraft technology, this is stuff that I've been working on. I was designing aircraft engines and also alternative jet fuels, just won't be available at scale within this next crucial decade. Simple maths tells us that we continue the rapid expansion of air traffic, that's incompatible with hitting climate goals. A new strategy is required. We do need to look at policies that limit flying. Now, as a group, we've been trying to raise the alarm on this for years, but to be honest, we've been met with silence. Just to give you an analogy, it's like we're trying to tell the banquet hall on board the Titanic that an iceberg is rapidly approaching. Most people just aren't listening to us. Those in control of the ship, the captain, the leaders of the aviation industry are saying that they recognize the risks, but they're busy effectively rearranging the deck chairs rather than changing direction. As a group, we've spent vast amounts of time and energy trying to engage with the industry, with government through official channels. We've responded to government consultations, we've gone along to public inquiries on airport expansions, but no one's listening to us. There's 20 airports around the UK today that are currently trying to expand. And just really here, setting goals where we have no realistic chance of being able to achieve them is a form of denialism. It's basically something that our industries collectively adopted across the board, with few exceptions. It's not just Air New Zealand. Just to give you an example that someone in my group gave this morning, imagine it's my goal to compete in the Olympics in 2028. My plan, my training involves sitting on the couch, eating crisps every day. Do you think I'm going to get there? That's a kind of tongue-in-cheek example, but it demonstrates that setting targets is one thing. Having a robust plan that actually delivers and achieves those targets is far more important. And that's completely lacking and not available.
So you've got a very interesting perspective on this, because you're an aerospace engineer. Aviation pays your wages, but you're saying we need to fly less.
Absolutely. We love flying. Our group is pilots, aerospace engineers, airport workers. We want there to be an aviation industry in 15, 20 years, and we're really worried that we risk all of that and we're just not really going to be able to fly soon. So what we're saying is let's moderate what we do in the short term to be able to continue to fly in the future, so that tourist destinations that we'd love to visit are still visitable, they're still habitable. We haven't destroyed the wonderful natural world that everyone loves. The reason we go on holiday is why we travel, to connect with cultures, to explore the planet, and currently we're really worried we're destroying that.
So what do you want to see? Is it down to taxation? Low-cost airlines have completely changed the face of travel in this country and beyond as well. Should governments be taxing to try and limit the number of flights that people take?
Yeah, so aviation's basically relatively very untaxed. The pollution from aviation, emissions pricing, jet fuel tax is zero, whereas if you fill up your car, petrol or diesel, you pay a very high tax. The other thing that we really need to do is, we need government policies, essentially. So the thing you can do immediately is you can limit air traffic through capping airports, capping airlines. We'd like to see a frequent flyer levy applied. That means that, the average family that might fly once a year from the UK, say, to Italy, Spain, Greece, isn't penalised, but the majority of polluters are frequent flyers that fly 5, 10, 15 times a year. Is that necessary? Is that acceptable in a climate emergency? We think not. We'd like to see policies that target those wealthy high emitters and allow more lower income, lower emitters still to have access to air transport within the constraints of
Finlay,
emissions.
with your engineering hat on, give us some hope here, Finlay. I mean, we talked with Julian there about emerging technologies, whether it be electric or hydrogen. Is there hope down the line on this?
There is, but I don't want to give you hope that that's going to solve the problem without the policies. It can't. We need the policies. But technology, the thing we're really excited about is if we get these policies we're after, then you will see the next kind of revolution in aircraft design. We will see lower emissions aircraft being designed, developed, and certified. It's going to take 10, 15 years. They're not going to be ready. But hybrid electric aircraft are particularly interesting, particularly in New Zealand, or in Scotland, where I'm from. If you want to get to some of the islands that are harder to access, that's going to be possible, within under 1,000 kilometers. We're going to be able to see that. But it's not going to tackle, the elephant in the room, which is really international flights that produce the bulk of aviation emissions.
Finlay, good to speak to you this morning. How interesting. Finlay Asher there, aerospace engineer. Let's wrap this up this morning with